Just finished a good Tuesday. Tuesday for us is a lot of good on good and a bunch of scout periods as well. So it's a pretty good work day for us, one of our bigger work days of the week. Felt like we just had a good work day offensively, very productive. As we get ready to prepare and play a good UAB team, man, these guys have traditionally had a good football team. I think we went down there in 19 or 20. I think it was 20. And they were loaded. I mean, they had a good, long, athletic football team, played really fast, really physical. And when you turn on the tape, you kind of see a lot of the same characteristics about this team, different schematically than when we went last time. But the guys running around look very similar to what we saw last time, and we know that was a big-time game. Obviously, we went up there last time. I think we broke their 21 home game win streak or something, which, I'm sure that'll add a little bit to the fire when we get up there this time. So we're looking forward to going, playing in their new stadium and playing a really good team.
So I know you're an offensive coach, not a defensive coach, but the offense at Charleston State, the way they did the passing game, how unique is that for you? And how often are you going to see that?
Yeah, the thing about it, when you get into game week, I don't really see a lot of what they do offensively. We have discussions about it in staff meetings, so I kind of hear and kind of get a feel for what's going on. But that's the Tennessee model, right? The guy that called plays for them the other night led the country in FCS and offense last year. You don't do that on accident, right? And I thought the thing the other night just kind of – I watched more of their offense after the game than I did either during the game or before the game. He had answers. So, we went from 3 down to 4 down. He had answers. We went from man coverage to zone coverage. He had answers. And he kept the more we tried to adjust, he had adjustments for our adjustments, I thought. And they played really good. I think the thing that surprised me in the moment was their team speed. That area's got speed, right? And we kind of knew that. They have verified track times. I mean, the little guy running around out there the other night, one of them's 600 meters in high school, and he's not the fastest one, right? So, and we knew that going in. It just didn't play as fast on film as the track times verified. But when you saw it in person, you realized. And their quarterback was good, man. He can operate. He runs good enough to give you problems and extend plays. And what they do, there's probably 5 to 8 teams in the country that do it on all levels. Tennessee being kind of what everybody knows now. That's where it kind of is. It's interesting because the way they spread you out, you got to defend all 53 in the third. When they run the ball rolls off. There's no sideboards to the defense because you're covering guys that are 40 yards away from the run, right? So there's no overhang players. So when you get it to Spill, it takes a little bit to get the guy there. And then the tempo, they tempoed a little bit different than everybody else. Most guys, you get a first down, the chains are moving, we run up, we get another play. It didn't matter. We're like -2, and they tempo and throw a deep ball. It didn't matter. So that was a little bit different, I thought, too. And,
is that something, though, that as an offensive coach, is that something that future teams can try to steal?
You can't duplicate it. You can't duplicate it. What's interesting is Coach Bergeron, who I think is a really great young coach here, right? He's a really sharp dude. He did a whole study of Tennessee this summer. We actually, as an offense, we looked at Tennessee, and some of the things that we're split out a little bit on our fastballs are a little bit out of their book. But you either wholesale to it or you might maybe take a couple things. But the whole part of it, you can't duplicate in a week. You'd be changing your whole thing. But Coach Burge literally studied about 2,800 plays and made cut-ups and got the coaching points. And he basically put on a coaching clinic for us as an offensive staff about Tennessee's offense. And we stole a couple things that we tried to fit. Harvey's touchdown the other night was one of those plays. He just adjusted his split and gave himself room for the fade, but that originally, he's supposed to be split all the way to the bottom of the numbers to the field. That's a Tennessee play. And in the red zone, goal zone, we just get him tighter so we have more room for the fade down there. And that's what he did. So good for him. So
how often do, football coaches, whether it be offensive or defensive, maybe they just play a team and they maybe see some things?
No, we have all spring, all summer. It's what we do, professional development, right? We find stuff that we like, that interests us, and we basically get as much film on it as we can. And everybody swaps with everybody right now. So if you went in our system right now, we have about 15 or 18 offenses that at the end of every week, both college and NFL, that just slide into a folder. And so like yesterday, I had a little time for lunch. I watched Texas and Alabama. I watched LSU and Florida State the week before that. Like, I'll go watch whoever and try to, if it fits, then we kind of can plug and play it a little bit. But you're not going to, like Kevin, Kevin's question, you're not just going to go, hey, man, that was pretty cool. We're going to do that. You don't just do that's like saying, you got beat by Acadiana and you go, I'm running the Veer next week. You don't just do that, right? It's a wholesale change offensive philosophy.
What about UAB on defense compared to what you just saw?
Completely different structure. They're 4 down, mostly post safety, a little bit of quarters. Those guys were 3 down, the 3 safety structure of Iowa State. We knew exactly what we had to do the other night, and I think that's what we did, right? We were efficient on 70% of our plays, which is really good. We ran the ball at a really good clip. If you take the reverse out of there, which is really close to coming out the back with Zylan Perry, we're over 5 yards of rush. And we knew what it was going to be. We knew where it was going to fit. We kind of knew what their adjustment was going to be. And I think our guys, offensive line-wise, running back-wise, did a really good job. The wideouts contributed in the pass game. When they tried to fix it with a blitz, we were able to spit it out on the perimeter and get some little wide receiver screens going. This is going to be a completely different structure, right? It's going to be just straight-up 4-down quarters, or they'll invert one of the safeties and play post-safety zone most of the time. So completely different. Last week, if you got loose, there were so many secondary guys back there, it's hard to account for all the guys. If you get loose this week, you got a chance to go to the house because of the way they play it. It's just a little different. So
now, it's no knock on the defense. Not saying they won't make stops, but they score. UAB scored a high clip. You guys have scored a high clip as well. Yeah. Is it kind of like your dream to be in like a shootout like this?
No, I'd rather they go 3 and out every time. And we like the back end of Eastern Michigan last year. That's what I want it to be like. We score on 7 straight possessions and we stop them 7 straight times, and I would rather that. I don't want to get in a shootout, man. I've lived in that world. In I guess what year was that? Our second year at Monroe. We led the conference in offense and won 4 games, and every week was a shootout. And we'd score 42 and they'd score 51, and we'd score 49 and they'd score 50, and we'd score 42, they'd score 43. That ain't no fun. I used to joke that it was like, those days it was like you were in a marathon. We never got to sit on the bench very long to get water. You just kind of ran by the bench, grabbed some, and went score another touchdown. You know what I mean? By the time we got off the field, they had scored again. That's what it felt like. I don't like that. No time for adjustments, no time to communicate. You just kind of do that. That ain't my cup of tea. I like good defense, just like I like good pitching and good defense. Let's play.
I need good pitching, but we don't have it right now. But where are you in your wide receiver rotation?
So Rob Williams is the primary player at X, and we're trying to kind of pick spots carefully with Harvey as we integrate him. I thought he was phenomenal the other night. Guy was in there 13 plays, had 4 targets, 4 catches, and a touchdown. Right? In hindsight, maybe mix him in a little bit more. He's kind of there to spell Rob, and as long as Rob's fresh, Rob will go. Pete is kind of the same thing. Pete's going. If he needs a break, then Charles will go. Every now and then, they don't ask for one. I'll just tell them, hey, Pete, you're off. Charles, you take it, and you tap back to Pete, and then Jake Bernard's the H. So that would be the kind of, you've seen me around here. I played as many as 9 because I felt like we had 9 that were pretty similar. I think we have 3 that are ahead, and then there's a couple that other spots that are right there pushing really close. I think, Harvey Broussard, you'll probably see more of him because he's got a better feel every week. Super smart, man. Really intelligent kid. Is really important to him. Wants to do it right. Just not as decisive sometimes as you'd like him to be when the picture changes a little bit. That's just reps. But as natural as a dude as I've ever coached. I mean, he can run. He's got great ball skills at the ball. That catch he made the other night, like he was laughing. Sunday he was like, I just kind of thought it was a regular catch. I said, well, no, it wasn't a regular catch at all. Like it was in the back corner, 1 foot down with a dude draped all over you. That's about as good a catch as you can make. And for him, he was just like, I didn't even think it was a big deal. So, he's really talented. And you saw what Charles made the same catch on the go ball. I mean, Charles is a really good player from a really good high school, and you'll see more of Charles. Charles and Pete, probably what you'll see, Rob and Harvey, and then you'll see Jake. And then when Jake needs a break, you do Dalen Cambry or Jaden Johnson. We got guys we could put in there.
Now getting back to not saying you want to shoot out, but to neutralize their offense, do you plan to try to control the clock?
Well, we're always going to run the ball a little bit, and then the nature of the rules, right? Like that's what kind of made it interesting the other night. They were able to get behind us a couple times, and they had some quick scores. And we ran 82 plays the other night. The average in college football right now is low 50s, and we ran 82. Normally, if you'd have told me y'all are going to run 82 and score 31, I'd have thought we'd have blown them out. I really did. And that's not a knock against our defense. We got a great defensive staff. Coach Morgan works as hard as anybody in the country. And trust me, when last season was over, Coach Morgan turned down a bunch of places to stay here. The guy had a bunch of opportunities. He's a great coach. They were better than us the other night. It happens, right? So, at the end of the day, running the ball is kind of what we want to do and play action off of it and then throw our ball control passing game. And, take our shots when we can. And last thing I want to do is get in a shootout.
But that's a one.
In the first game, you weren't efficient and hit big plays. Second game, not a lot of big plays, but we're very efficient.
Right.
So is the difference there execution or the scheme of the defense?
No, it's a product of both. We executed better. We threw and caught better. By the nature of the way they play defense, it's hard. I mean, they play with three safeties. It's hard to get behind guys, right? And so it makes it hard to take deep shots and feel good about how you can design them. And there's always an extra guy, so it doesn't really matter how you try to design it. There's always an extra guy. So by the nature of the defense, it was going to be harder. We knew we had to be efficient and control the ball, and we were going to have to earn a touchdown. We were going to have to, and that's how they want to play defense. They know where they're deficient. They're deficient at corner in the secondary. They design it to play that way, and that's kind of how it worked out. But at the same time, we threw and caught it a lot better too. So Ben was more accurate, and I think we were spacing, better timing, better rhythm, better protection. Northwestern, there were a couple free rushers in that game, right? Part of it was, some technique stuff on the O-line that we got cleaned up last week, obviously, I think against a pretty good front. And then a couple times they actually fooled Ben, Northwestern State did. So we had free rushers, and everybody's going to say, well, that's the O-line. Well, what they really don't know is we changed the protection because we thought they were going to blitz from over here, and they blitzed from over there, and they had a free rusher. And that was really on Ben. They fooled Ben. And that does not happen very often. The nature of the way that guy watches film and stuff.
Xeon, I mean, is it just a matter of figuring out how much?
Yeah, I think it it'll progress as we go. I don't think Z's really deficient in anything right now. He's a talented player, and I think we got two good ones. I think if the way Ben played last week was certainly good enough for us to win the game. So, and he gave us a chance to. Look, I recruited the guy. I love the guy. I think he's super talented, right?
But as far as throwing him in there as a curveball,
yeah, I think that was one play, and then the nature of the game a little bit. You get down by 7, then you're down by 14. Is that really when you want to start kind of playing a freshman and putting him on that spot too? You know what I'm saying? I think if we were in a situation where we were up by 7 or up by 14, I think you could have maybe here's a play, here's 2 plays, come on out, get back in, where you can kind of finagle it a little bit, where we can flash what he can do for us a little bit. So, but, I was really proud of the way Ben played and competed. And, 2 90-yard drives in the fourth quarter, that's experience, right? That's having been in the moment and been there and got us in position. And, once you get inside the 10 last week on those guys, it's zero blitz. And we tried our beaters to try to get it done. And, on the PI, we kind of just underthrew Rob a little bit. We really had a chance to win the game right there, right? And we underthrew it, got the PI, then we got 1st and goal at the 7. We expected all-out pressure, which is their MO. And first down, they didn't do it. And then they did it on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down. And we missed Neal on the crossing route. We had a couple of things kind of lined up pretty good. Hell, the 2nd down play, they're all out blitzing. The safety is blitzing, and they actually blitzed the wrong gap with one of the linemen, and they run into each other. And because they ran into each other, he tried to fall out of it, and he ends up making Ben pull up and throw it away. And if he blitzes where he's supposed to, Ben just walks in like there's nobody left. So that's kind of the unseen part of how the game plays out. The throw to Neal maybe a little bit behind him, but it's zero pressure. The same one they ran on the second down, and we threw it behind him a little bit. Maybe could have made a great catch there. Hell, the over route that we threw to Rob, same thing, right? Like Ben's going to walk in, but he throws it just a little high. Rob's got to make a great play in the moment. We didn't make it. We had our chances, and then we were in, the fourth down play is what it was. But Terrence is probably going to, he's going to turn the corner and it's going to be right at the front pylon, which is exactly what you want. A corner running over a 160-pound guy trying to tackle your tight end, which was we knew the matchup. It was just a matter of throwing and catching and seeing if the little guy could make the tackle on the goal line. And we missed it, unfortunately. So